What is up, YouTube? We are back with another video. This week's video, we are here in Illinois for a tree install. We are using 15-foot wide fabric. Customer did the prep work for us, and we are laying a double staggered row of hybrid willow and a double staggered row of silky willow. This total line is 3,500 feet of screening along a roadside. The customer has had way too many people looking into the property, poaching deer close by, so he really just wants to secure this. And actually the funny thing is, I'm looking at a deer right now walking through the woods. So customer has a ton of deer, but also when you have a ton of deer, a lot of people like to check out your deer. So the whole main reason is to get the trees and shrubs, both double staggered row, to be able to block this wood line up here from people looking in. And then he's got a couple egg fields. So we're going to be screening today. I'm going to be using the GoPro on my head and setting up a time lapse of us rolling out fabric, the 15-foot rolls of fabric, and then planting the 2 double staggered rows of silky willows and hybrid willows. Today, hopefully we can get a lot more done than what we did yesterday. It was just way too windy. I couldn't even set up my camera. So today is going to be mostly the filming. So if you notice that some stuff is done, it's because we were working yesterday half a day when we got down to here. But like I said, it was 25-mile-an-hour winds, so rolling fabric and trying to set up a tripod was just not going to be feasible. So follow along today and let's get after it. All right, so spacing on hybrid willow here, we are 6-foot spacing between the 2 hybrid willows and then 4-foot spacing between the 2 rows. So if I'm starting here with my tape, I'm going 3 feet away from that other cutting right there. So this will be my first X. And I like to just go down a single row and then jump to the other row, and then Tony will follow me with the rod and start creating the pilot holes for the cutting. So 6 feet away from that, another 6 feet, and just keep going like that. Helps to have a sharp knife, because after a while it'll start to dull from rubbing in the dirt, and you definitely don't want to replace it. Otherwise you end up tearing fabric or doing something stupid and creating a big hole. Usually I'm doing about a 2 to 3 inch gap in the fabric. Any bigger and you start to invite a lot of weed competition in. Any smaller, and that cutting could potentially be wafted from the fabric in the wind. So again, I am 4 feet away, so I got a gap 1, 2, 3, and then 4 here. So I'm 4 feet away from that other row here. And then I'm starting my next row. So I'm 3 feet away from that other row in cutting, and then I'll be splitting the gap every single time here to continue the correct spacing for our trees. All right, so just finished up the line of hybrid willow, jumping to the silky willow now. Double staggered row, still 4 feet apart between the 2 rows, but now the spacing is going to tighten up here. So now we're only 2 feet between each cutting. So it'd be now 4 feet between each cutting within a row, and then every 2 feet there's a cutting. So here is my end from last night. So now I'm going 2 feet. And now I'm going to jump every 4 feet in this row, and then jump and come back down the line and split the gap. So then there'll be a cutting every 2 feet here. So again, 6, 10, 14, and just continue like that all the way down the line. right, so I just finished up the single row here. Now I'm going to go 4 feet over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be running this line down, and then like I said, I'm splitting the gap between the 2 other cuttings to make it a 2 feet, and just keep jumping every 4 feet here. And I should mention with the fabric and the 15-foot fabric, the reason we're doing that is customer wants to just surround everything with double staggered or single lines of electric fencing, so it's really easy to surround the entire area. So that's why we wanted to just use 15-foot wide fabric. You could use 6-foot wide fabric and 6-foot wide fabric, but customer wanted the complete area covered in fabric, which is totally fine. It works really good. It's really easy to lay one path and you're all done, where if you have a you know, 2 lines, now you got to roll one 6-foot wide fabric and then restart all the way down there and roll another 6-foot wide fabric. So it was very easy, efficient to use 15-foot wide fabric in this case. I'm going to talk about the staples. So staples, it was super windy yesterday. We were doing staples every 2 to 3 feet on this edge because this is on the north side. Ton of wind comes through here, so we wanted to just make sure it was for sure locked down. And then we went over 5 feet stapled, another 5 feet stapled, and then again went along every 2 to 3 feet and stapled along the edge. So it should be locked down, and within the first year, after rain and the cuttings established, the fabric's not going anywhere. That's once those shrubs start establishing outwards, the trees start expanding their base, and then get the 3 main branches of the hybrid willow, that's really going to lock on the fabric way more than what the staples are going to do after year 2, 3, 4. And then after year 5, he could come in, slice up the fabric, remove it, mow alongside, and you're going to have a great screen year-round to protect all this area, all this wildlife. Tons of deer bed up in there, so it's super cool. I've been seeing, since we've been here, I've seen 6 deer coming and going from this little patch of woods. So a lot of deer down here, but also a lot of poachers. So I'm going to continue here, slicing up the hybrid willow, and they're going to continue to plant down there. They're planting the silkies right now. We like to use a 1/2-inch rod for the silkies because they are a little skinnier compared to the hybrid willow cuttings. Alright, so I got a 5/8 inch hole. You can see there's a little bit of gap in there. I got to push to the bottom
Then I'm going to take this tool, just take that dirt and push it up against the cutting. That way, the top few inches, sure to get good ground contact.
So we got all of our hybrid Willow+Silky willow. So far we have done 900 feet of screening thus far of both. We have all the fabric done. You can see it way up there. I don't know how well the video can show, or you can even hear me with the wind today. It's a light breeze, 8 to 10 mile an hour. So, and I'm walking, of course, right into the wind, but we're going to finish planting all of our cuttings. We got about 500 to 600 feet to go, and then we're jumping to the other side of the road where we will be about 2,000 feet of screening. So we want to try to get the fabric laid today and then get the cuttings in tomorrow before the rain on Friday. All right, so I got all the holes cut up to that point there. Then we got straight shot and then another little curve, but I'm gonna help these guys finish planting up until that point there. Then we'll finish the rest and then start laying the fabric. That's a wrap. That is 900 feet of shrubs and trees, plus another 600 this morning, so 1,500 total feet done. Moving on to hopefully do some more fabric today, get it all laid. Really just don't want this edge to be blown up ever. Staples are always cheap compared to the grand scheme of projects, so if you're ever in between, should I add a few extra staples or not, just do it, because it pays off in the long run. Big difference. If you chintzy out on the staples, you're gonna regret it once you get that first big windstorm and your fabric blows up. And if your fabric blows up over your cuttings, you are going to struggle to be able to lay it back down, because now you have to lay it down very strategically to be able to get every single cutting exposed again. And in a 4-foot roll of, or 4 lines of fabric, it can be very, very time consuming, to where if you just have to lay down, you know, instead of spacing here, we're putting one today here, same thing on the other side, and then also 2 down the middles, because we do not want this fabric to blow up anytime soon. It looks like on Friday, with the good rain that's coming, is we are getting 20 to 25 mile an hour winds. So when we laid the fabric down yesterday, same thing, it was 20 to 25 mile an hour winds. It was a struggle to get that other side all done, but we got it done. And now we're to a couple of these low spots in this big field here. Part of the drainage is they're a little low, and I think this one and maybe the last one has standing water, so we got our boots here. We'll roll it close, flip on our boots, We're gonna plant some cuttings in there as well at the same exact time, and then take off our boots and keep walking, because muck boots are probably one of the most uncomfortable boots to wear and have to walk. Alrighty, so we got the first 650 feet done. Started at the driveway up there, and we're all the way to that water dip there. Double staggered row again, hybrid willow on the north side, same as what we did across the road. And then silky's on the south side, because the silky's a little slower compared to the hybrid willow for height wise, because the hybrid willow, if protected this year, decent moisture, they're going to be 6 to 7 feet tall, where the silkies are going to be 2 to 3 feet tall. So there's going to be a little bit more of a height differential. So we want to put the shrubs on the south side, get more sunlight, especially after year 1, 2, and 3. And it's looking pretty good. We're going pretty good. That took us about, to plant the 650 feet with the fabric already laid, you are about 2 hours, just over 2 hours of planting to get that. So if you guys are trying to figure out, you know, certain projects and how big of a project you can handle in 1 year, we laid the fabric this entire project, and I'll talk about it later on too, because I don't know if you can hear me with the wind blowing from the south. Today it switched up from the north the past 2 days, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or it'll be muffled, but we are, total footage on this entire thing, one line down, is 3,500 feet. So if you basically multiply that by 2, because we have a double staggered row of hybrid willow, double staggered row of silky willow, you're more like 7,000 feet of screening. Now it's 3,500 feet close together, 7,000 feet with the, if you were to consider it 2 lines. And so it's going to take us 3 guys that understand what's going on. We didn't have to come and prep. The customer already prepped it. They chisel plowed and then tilled the top for us. We just had to come in, lay the fabric, and then plant the cuttings. It's going to take us, we arrived on Tuesday at about 2:30, worked till about 8 o'clock. So worked for a good 4 or 5 hours. And then yesterday worked from about 8 to 7, so another 11-hour day. So it's going to take us about 3 full days of work as we got that side done. Going to finish this side today, hopefully, and then it should rain. But that's a lot of screening. You know, it's a lot of screening. 3,500 feet, so that's looking like just about 1,800 2-foot silkies, and then hybrid willow was right around 12 to 1,300. So overall we're planting 2,700 cuttings or more. So it's a big project, and this is a really large project. It would be very difficult to not have us come in and plant it, just because it's an investment to do the screening. You know, as you look up here, you know, he has too many people driving up the road, and so the customer wants this screened to protect it from poachers, because he's had poachers come in and shoot deer. He has cameras set up here. He has had the game warden set up fake deer and catch people. You know, as we're working here, we're kind of out, it feels like we're out in the middle of nowhere, and probably every 15-20 minutes there's somebody slowly driving this road. So I could just imagine during hunting season down here what it feels like. So that's the whole reason why he wants this entire roadside, because a lot of these trees are getting to maturity and past maturity to where, you know, they might be coming down here in the future, and you got to have a backup plan, because as soon as this tree line is mature, you could come and tear all that out, freshen it up, mow it like grass, and now you have a nice little screen line. And then the customer could either on this side, if he's got some room to put conifers, or on the back side to put some conifers for that total screening package, because after 25-30 years the hybrid willow are going to be getting tired to the point where those conifers have now taken over and they're doing the majority of the screening now. So it works hand in hand, doing screening with pine, spruce, you know, any other type of variety of conifer that you'd want to use along with the willows, because at a certain point the conifers will be taking over from the hybrid willow for trees and height wise. The silkies are going to be more of a long lived shrub, especially if you freshen it up every 5-6 years, give it some fertilizer. You know, that's a 25-30 year plus shrub.